Good morning. Today, I have some considerations and some contemplations and some insights about the great question. Is it possible to live in peace? Has peace? Well, it is possible. It is possible because before you and I, a lot of people have challenged and had made peace a not a goal, but a way of living. Peace has how to live this existence, how to live every day while the world goes around and does whatever it does and express itself the way it express itself the way it does. And sometimes that equilibriums and that balance that we have within ourselves, it's broken, it's shaken, it's it's clouded over all this amount of thinking, all this amount of thoughts. On my right side, you can see a little sculptures with a black kind of Bernini style columns and then with geometrical shapes. That is a study for one study for the self that I did did a series of it on a different size and different scales, different material, and most of it they are outside, and some of the little one I kept, and one has survived. Many had been gone. It is a sculpture's honoring the self. Now, this self is kind of not the s- small s self, which it is pointing to the reality of mind, body, self identifications made me. The thinking mind is the egoic mind. The egoic mind, it exists as long as one believes to be the mind, the thinker or the doer. So that's why they say that the ego, it really doesn't exist. That this mind really doesn't exist. It exists in terms of identifications with the mind. If you think you're the thinker, that's what you are. If you think you are not a thinker, then you step out of the thinking process and you see it. So you are the one who sees the thinking. You are not immersed into the thinking process, and you are not speculating in what object of the thinking is. So, in a way, to say that you are the formless that sees all forms, the formless that cannot be identified as anything. Now, peace is also that. You can get to peace, you can live as peace if you have come to understand, or if you have come to experience that you can actually stop the thinking, be not the thinking, be not the doer, and yet think and do whatever happens without fueling it, without increasing the amount of activity. It is the veil that it is within the thinking mind. Is the purpose of the mind to keep itself alive, is to keep yourself as it is, and that creates the veil, that creates the dysfunction of the dysfunction, that creates the dysfunctions, that creates the that creates and breaks the peace that it is beyond the thinking mind, beyond the acting body, beyond the active world. So this peace is independent from everything, yet is in within you, yet it is you. It is very difficult to see oneself not as the person that I see, I touch, I feel, smell, and as a thinker that has those thoughts constantly. It's very difficult to think, how is that possible that I am not that? I have a name, I have a form, I lived so many years, and people calls me by this name and I respond to it. Yet there is within this compositions of human as a human that is called the awareness. It's called the awareness of being. So being is the essence of this human. They call it human being, but the human lives in the being and many times doesn't know it because it's veiled by the thinking mind. The thinking mind cannot understand what being is because being is not an object to be understood. Being as existence, as an essence, cannot be understood because it's not an object. So the mind cannot grasp it. The mind cannot do anything with it. So being cannot be understood. Being can only be. You can only be the being. You can only be this being that it is that knows everything. It is everything, and there's another word for it: consciousness. This consciousness is the power of knowing, is the power of being, is the power of existence, that it manifests and appears in many, many, many forms, in all what you see, in all the relative reality that you see. It's all manifestations of consciousness. It's all those appearances are in consciousness. Now, it's very difficult to live as consciousness, even though you are, even though you do, even though you're immersed and you cannot get out of it, just like oxygen. You don't see it because the habitual mind has thought this human to be the human that thinks. And to be without thinking is useless. But yet, that is the trail, that is the the trail, the path to the peak, the peak of being peace. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy these considerations, and those considerations are not for anybody, they're just for myself. This is what I come to see, envision, imagine, meditate, and be. And it has changed. No, yes, it has changed through the years, um, the way of living my life, the way of living this existing. I always remember myself that I exist in existence, as existence. So existing is a relative to existence. Be existence, it means to be aware of being, to be aware of the spirit self. That is the content of our existence. Thank you so much.